Welcome to mySci Lesson 1 in Unit 2, Sun and Shade. In Lesson 1, students will answer the question, what is temperature? They figure out that temperatures in the shade are cooler than temperatures in the sun, and these temperature differences are measured using a tool called a thermometer. During the unit, students will focus on the design challenge. What can we design to keep Mr. Bear shaded throughout the day? Later in the unit, students are going to design a structure that provides shade for Mr. Bear using their understanding of the relationship between sunlight, shade and temperature, and what causes shadows. Start by framing the unit for the students. Introduce them to the design challenge, and then ask them questions to get them thinking about how they can achieve this design challenge. Also, introduce the students to the unit phenomena by projecting the 4 different images shown here. Ask students to look at the sun in each of these pictures and consider how the sun affects the earth. In the engage portion of the lesson, students will draw pictures of themselves outside. They will consider whether it is warm or cool outside and discuss what evidence in their picture supports their answer. This student journal page pre-assesses their understanding of the sun as a source of heat for the earth. Next, read aloud the book, It's Sunny Today. The read aloud guide for this book can be found in the teacher pages. By the end of this book, students should be aware of the relationship between the sun, light, and heat. Then take students on a walk around the playground to consider where sunny and shady spots of the playground are located, how these different areas feel, and what is causing these areas to feel different. Finally, students will watch the video Sid the Science Kid, Super Sun, and discuss how the sun provides light and heat energy that affect the earth. In the Explore portion of this lesson, students will observe a thermometer and discuss that thermometers are tools used to measure temperature. Next, students will work in pairs to conduct an investigation to describe how a thermometer measures temperature. Each pair of students will use a thermometer and 2 cups of water, one warm and one cold, to measure temperature. Students will predict and observe how the red line moves in each cup to compare water with different temperatures. In the Explain portion of the lesson, students will listen to the thermometer song video. They will use the video as well as their previous explorations to explain that thermometers measure temperature and that when temperature changes, the red liquid rises or falls. Students will pretend to be thermometers and model temperature change in given scenarios by using their bodies. For example, students will raise their arms to model a hot day and reach their arms low to model a cold day. Students will revisit their original drawing of themselves outside from the Engage portion of the lesson. Half the class will draw themselves in an area where they feel warm. The other half will draw themselves in an area where they would feel cool. They will share their drawings explaining why the temperatures would be different. In the Elaborate portion of this lesson, students will expand on their understanding of how the sun heats the earth by conducting an investigation to answer the questions, do some materials heat faster than others? For this lab, students will gather 1 sheet each of black, white, and light blue construction paper and 3 thermometers. They will go outside to a sunny location and place 1 thermometer on the ground underneath each sheet of paper. Students will identify the starting temperature for each thermometer and make a prediction about how the thermometer will change over a 5-minute period. Then they will observe which material heated up the fastest and use this to construct explanations to the question, do you think everything on Earth heats up to the same temperature over time? In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, students will complete a formative assessment on this student journal page. They will draw and label a picture to answer the question, what makes the sidewalk feel hot? Look for students to draw a heat source that makes the sidewalk feel hot in order to demonstrate their understanding that sunlight warms Earth's surface. By the end of this lesson, students will make observations to determine that the sun heats up the earth, describe how a thermometer measures temperature, and observe and describe that it feels hotter in the sun than in the shade.